Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Beyond Thursday. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to join us tonight for a nice panel and discussion about 5G and mobility. I'm Chris. I'm head of business development here at Seven Peaks and at Morphosis. Before we start, just want to give you a quick introduction of who we are at Seven Peaks. Seven Peaks started 2009 in Scandinavia. So the roots are in Europe, but have now made home in Thailand. Right. So recently, Seven Peaks and Morphosis have also become one big happy family. We've now grown to over 200 people, touching all areas and all touch points of the product life cycle. We have over 25 nationalities, making us a very diverse group here in Bangkok. Areas of work. So we've really worked with across all different types of industries, right? From healthcare, financial services, e-commerce, you name it. Really where we try to focus on is not so much what industry are we working on, but what type of value can we create for that client and for that customer. So where we come in. As mentioned, we touch on all stages of the product lifecycle, from digital strategy, product consulting, through to design, development, growth, data analytics, and maintenance and support. In all of these, the key objective is how do we deliver business impact and business value to our customers. So how are we different, right? We approach this in a way where we want to be a partner. We want to be able to co-create with our clients. And I think that's where the best products are built, is where we can come in, work together with people to be able to build the things that bring value to the business. If we can bring value to the business, there's probably a good chance that we can also generate some sort of return on investment, which then builds a business case, and then, well, you know what happens there. So when it comes to building products, right, we focus and we believe that we have product at the core, right? But there's always multiple forces that are pulling against that, right? And we have to be able to find that balance so that we can build the right product that is desirable from a UX standpoint, that is viable from a business standpoint, but that is also feasible, right? We can design beautiful things, we can meet business requirements, but if we cannot implement it in the end of the day, then we've missed the mark, right? So we have to be able to find this balance, and that balance is our product at the end and at the core. So how do we work? So really it all starts with coming in and being able to consult and be that trusted partner. So we want to be able to consult, we want to be able to guide, and we want to be able to be a part of the product journey. Once we get into the product, right, this is iterative in nature, right? Product design, architecture, product development, measuring and learning all along the way, right? Products are organic in nature. We need to be able to nurture, to grow, and make sure that these products are able to continue to evolve with the business, with the market, and really with the needs of the users as well. Nowadays, users are more demanding than ever, so we need to be able to build the right products to not only meet their needs, but also to continue to deliver value. And that happens in the long term through growth and other types of initiatives. So just quickly, touching on design, so Morphosis, my background was with Morphosis, I've now come in. We've always focused on design, right, on user experiences. We believe that business is at the core, but also we need to not forget about the users. How do we make user-centric experiences that deliver on what they really need, and maybe not so much on what they want, right? How do we have them ensure that they come back, that we build the right products for them, we take the right decisions to make sure that we deliver on what their expectations are. All of this is fueled by a tool, and I say a tool, called design thinking, right? And that methodology that we apply, where we want to be able to understand fundamentally what is at the core of our problem, right? How do we diverge, be able to find solutions, identify an opportunity, prototype, conceptualize, and validate that with real users before any sort of development would then begin. Speaking of development, Seven Peaks has been, I guess, a leader in the area of product development, having worked especially on native mobile applications since the first iPhone. Over the time, over 120 native applications have been built across multiple industries. As a core cloud native partner, right, we also work with Microsoft, AWS, to be able to deliver cloud native solutions to our customers and our clients and partners. Also included in this, right, is of course the capabilities for web, mobile application development, and supporting quality assurance. What we believe in, though, is ensuring that we can measure and learn along the way. It doesn't stop, our work doesn't stop at the first release. It continues on to be able to measure and to be able to learn and to be able to improve in the long run. And we can do that in a number of different ways with a number of different tools along the way, whether that be Power BI, Mixed Panel, something basic like Google Analytics, which Mr. Shane here, who will be our moderator later, is in charge of. But at the end of the day, it's all about how can we capture the right information, analyze, synthesize, and take better decisions. Our delivery team, we believe strongly in agile. We try to move away from waterfall, and we want to be able to have strict development processes, release often, release quickly, but also ensure that we have a quality of delivery as well. So just to summarize, we touch on all stages of product lifecycle from strategy through to design, development, and growth initiatives. And we work in a couple of different ways. And that's it. I don't want to go into too many details. I don't want to sell you tonight as BD guy. So I hand it over to Shane, who will be our moderator this evening and will be able to introduce our speakers. Thank you so much.
Actually, here's Isabel from VNU, our co-hosts here this evening.
Thank you. So, before we go over to the panel discussion, just some words from our side. So, my name is Isabel. I'm the project manager of Beyond Mobile. And on behalf of VNU, we welcome you to this event. Happy to host it in this beautiful location together with 7Peaks. So, this is our third and last Beyond Mobile, Beyond Thursday, before the actual Beyond Mobile event is taking place from 28 to 29 September at Samyan Midtown in Bangkok. So it's a month to go. We are very excited and hope that you will join us there. It's a 2-day conference and exhibition where you can experience the networked economy. Yeah, a moment to really say thank you to the partners from the moment of birth of this project. It's a new launch. So with Nokia, we have our platinum sponsor who's with us since day one. Avi Connects is our knowledge partner in the field of cybersecurity. We have the DITP, the UK embassy, UK embassy who is hosting a UK pavilion on site, True on the network operator side, and Brode and Schwarz, who stand for German efficiency. So besides those, obviously, we have a lot more companies on site which are excited to meet you, and a big conference program. So on your tables, you see some more information. Please register and join us during 28 and 29 at Samyan Midtown. And yes, now it's time for you, Shane.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, welcome. So I'm Shane. I am our head of data and analytics here, and data is obviously playing a big part in all of our lives these days, even if you don't know it. So with 5G comes more data and more analytics. So let's kick this off. Peter Renkel, president of ASEAN Continental Automotive and GM. Can you step up? Give us a few words about yourself. Hello.
Okay, short introduction from my side. As you can hear on the dialect, I'm a German, southern part of Germany from Bavaria, living now since 14 years outside of Germany in 5 different countries. And I'm happy to be here. Continental, most of you will know Continental is a tire company. Yes, that's half of our business. The other half of our business, we are supplying all kinds of electronics to all OEMs in the world. So Continental, 40 billion company, 200,000 people, and around 140,000 are doing automotive, so not tires. And here, this is why I'm here, we are doing connectivity, instrument clusters, display panels, safety, airbags, radar, cameras. So you name it, you don't see it so much, but nearly every car what you drive that has some Continental products in this. So thank you and happy to be here.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. And Krista. Kun Krista. Thank you. President of the Electric Vehicle Association of Thailand.
All right, so thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Basically, like to introduce myself in two roles. So the one that I'm seeing here, I'm the president of the Electric Vehicle Association of Thailand, or as we call EVAT. So basically, EVAT has the total member of around 340s coming from the OEM, part supplier, car companies, motorcycle companies, charging providers. And basically, we are a group of people working together to help Thailand develop into the future mobility, and particularly in the EV development for the country. And another role that I'm also serving, I'm working for BMW Group in Thailand as the Director of Corporate Communications. So in Thailand, we have a BMW plant located in Rayong, and of course, a lot of our product has Continental, as Kun Peter already mentioned. So it's a pleasure for me to be here with all of you. Thank you, Kap.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's get comfortable on the couch here. I'll be over here. You guys get comfortable. Okay, so we got a few questions here. Let's start it off easy, yeah. So so how is increased connectivity and 5G rollout changing your business?
Well, tremendously. We're talking about the development of the future mobility, right? And of course, when talking about the future mobile, we're talking about the ACES, right? As everyone know, autonomous car, connected car, electric vehicle, and sharing services. And basically, what I have seen in the last few years with the connectivity of 5G speed, of course, it has helped a lot in terms of the safety features for the vehicles. And BMW is able to take advantage of that as well with a lot of the surrounding safety system of the vehicles. And now that we're moving into the future of the autonomous vehicle, you know that the speed of the 4G when compared to 5G, 5G is like 100 times faster. So basically, the assessment of the data, the reaction that the vehicle would take to stop the vehicle when it detects the problem in front of the vehicle, it will be much shorter. So let's take, for example, if in the past, you probably take about, when a car is traveling at about 100 kilometers per hour, and in the 4G environment, the car would probably take more time to react, and it would take in the distance measurement about, anything from 2 to 3 meters. But with the 5G, the distance will be reduced on the same speed to about just centimeters. So that would help a lot in terms of the safety feature, and that's what I see in the development phase for the autonomous car in the future. Yeah.
Okay.
And for you, Peter?
So going a little bit back more to connectivity. So 5 years, 10 years ago, Continental is producing instrument clusters. So VDO is part of our group. So we are doing since 80 years instrument cluster, and the projection was that over time span of 10 years this will change. But due to connectivity, it's changing in one model change here. So means we have to close locations, what we never planned to close locations. On the other side, we are creating new jobs and new production locations again in different areas, different cities, different products. So it has a huge impact, and the speed, how connectivity and later on as well 5G is introducing now into the daily life, it's for automotive standards super fast. Automotive is moving super slow. So we are planning in 5 years, 10 years, and now in one 5-year cycle, all the normal clusters disappearing and you only have displays. The question is it so big or is it over for the complete A to B pillar? So it's a massive change what connectivity is now driving into the vehicles.
It sounds like it creates a number of problems from, well, what do you do with the old parts that are obsolete to workers that now need to have skills to create these new things. How are you guys dealing with that?
Definitely not easy, and we try to do our best to have it done in a best social manner. Most of the location are, let's say, in high-cost locations. On the other side, we are forced to be a profitable company. We also then, let's say, make sure that going into new technology, we also using this as a opportunity to go as well into more best cost locations. So that's a give and take, but yeah, it's a difficult situation.
I bet, but necessary. Yeah. Okay, so let's shift to Thailand, where we are, right? And so what are some unique advantages of the market, the Thailand market, for this type of change that's taking place?
So I'm only living here now since 4 years, and for me, it's Thai population, in my viewpoint, compared to German, they are much more open to technology. Everybody's connected, everybody's always online. If you text somebody, you get immediately instant feedback. And this is driving as well an expectation. You're always reachable in your car, in your vehicle. So it means there is a higher acceptance, what I see, to pay a little bit premium to be connected. And this is perhaps not only related to Thailand. In most areas in Asia, people accept to be connected. Not look in Germany, everybody says, yeah, but if I'm connected, people can detect where I am and Big Brother is watching me. So there are a lot of concerns in Germany, which I do not see so much here. So people are more open-minded. And with this, my viewpoint is we will move much faster here compared to other areas.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, Krista?
Yeah, I think if we look at the government and the plan to develop, for example, the electric vehicle in Thailand, we have seen the target, and probably some of you have seen the news already, that we would like to move from 2022, and now the next milestone will be in 2025, where the government would like to see about 30% of the vehicle registration as the so-called ZEV or zero emission vehicle, and that together with the electric vehicle, it comes together with certain kind of connectivity with the vehicles. And then from 2025 to 2030, they would like to see about half of the registration as the electric vehicles before moving to 100% of the electric vehicle in 2035. So that's the target that the nation has.
Those are ambitious.
Very ambitious.
I actually took an electric vehicle to work today, actually on Grab. So when it picked me up, and I felt like I was riding in a spaceship, really. And then whenever it got close to like another car, you could see all these warnings and cameras showing me everything around. And I was like, wow, I feel like once you've driven in something like that, there's really no going back.
Exactly.
But I imagine there's some disadvantages here as well, where in America, I know there's a lot of rebates and tax incentives to adopt this. And, a Tesla 3 here is priced at the same as like a BMW 7 Series or something, right? Obviously pricing is a big disadvantage, but, what other disadvantages do you think there are, or hurdles?
I think, of course, you're right. When looking at the vehicle price comparing to the US, of course, our price is much higher, and that's the intention of the government to keep the import duty very high. So basically to secure the local assembly or local production of the vehicle here, right? But what we are seeing here is that with the government plan to move forward with electric vehicle and of course the subsidy, this is the first year that government give the direct subsidy to the buyer of EV. It has never happened before. So in March, the government announced that they will give 150,000 Thai baht per unit for the electric vehicle with the price below 2 million. Given that the importer would commit to do the local production of electric vehicle by 2024. So it's like, one bullet point, one bullet you can shoot two targets, to bring in the electric vehicle and to tie in the commitment for electric vehicle production in the future as well. So this brought a lot of the new players in the market. So we have seen Chinese company like Great Wall Motor, MG, BYD just announced that they would come in. We have, and of course, NETA with the joint venture with PTT, for example. So I think the benefit for the EV buyer is that there will be a lot of choices that you can buy. You can choose from anything from plug-in hybrid, BEV with the reasonable prices, and I think it's good for Thailand in general. Yeah.
So in principle, even we do not directly produce for electric vehicle specific subcomponents or components, we always love electric vehicles because they have a much higher take rate of our products. So this is the one topic. The other topic, this is now more a private opinion here. As what I also see now in other countries, as long we do not fix the infrastructure to have charging stations everywhere. I was last winter in Germany, driving for skiing to Austria. I have to charge 3 times for 700 kilometers. It took me 3 hours more. It's still not so convenient, but for city, perfect. Don't get me wrong. And if we fix this topic of, let's say, infrastructure, charging stations, and perhaps incentives that you have a special lane only with this traffic outside, this would be a big incentive for everybody to drive electric vehicles.
I agree. Infrastructure, though, Bangkok, Thailand is not known for having the best infrastructure. I think that could be a hurdle we're going to have to overcome, yeah.
But on the other side, you have modern solutions. You can, for example, Singapore, they have now introduced a charging system for using the highlights or toll pending on the traffic. So if you drive during heavy traffic, you're paying more. If you drive off peak traffic seasons, you're paying less. And
subsidies.
If you make it expensive enough, the traffic will get less.
This is true. That was actually one of my next questions was, how do you think these advancements, do you think it's going to fix this traffic problem? I'm sure everybody that came here today took 2 or 3 times longer than they wanted to get here.
Talking about traffic, I drove from my office at the all-season place, which is about 2.3 kilometers from here. Took me over an hour. I was looking at my watch and I thought, damn, I'm not going to make it today. Really take me a long time, to get here. And then I was thinking about the topic that we're about to speak this evening, right, on the 5G and the revolution that the technology will bring. It kept thinking around that in the future, when we have the level 5 of the autonomous vehicle, we talked about the other days, right, when you have the fully autonomous vehicle where you just get in the car, you put in the direction that you want to go, and then you just sleep your way off until you get there. So basically, when that time comes, I don't imagine that you would need to travel by plane so much, because basically you can go to Chiang Mai just in the evening, sleep on the car, and then in the morning you get there. It will change the way that you park your vehicle. Like coming here to the park, I don't have to find my parking space at the building. Your car will just drop me off, and then it just park somewhere a few kilometers away. It doesn't matter. So it clear up all the space, and I think the revolution will bring a lot of new, let's say, disruption to many things. Yeah. So it's quite interesting to look in the way that 5G is just the beginning or the enabler to make it happen. And now we're thinking that in the next few years, there will be many new features that we'll see in the vehicle.
I think maybe like some 5G autonomous tuk-tuks maybe would be.
Yeah, that would be good.
keep some of the culture, right?
You don't have to negotiate with the driver, right?
I mean, yeah. I think Oh, what else? What else? Well, what kind of timeline do you think we're looking at for that? And like, when you say level 5, can you help some of us understand what the
Yeah.
different levels are?
Um, this is a very hard to predict. Let's put it that way, because we know that technology is there. We've seen quite a number of autonomous vehicles running here and there in China and Singapore. They are already startup company, and the autonomous taxi that we have seen. Yeah, but to go on the commercial side of the vehicle, to actually sell this vehicle to like retail customer, I think it would take some years, because there's so many legal issues around it. You know, any let's say insurance topics you have to get around it. You know, what would be the responsibility when the car get crashed? You know, it is a responsibility of the driver or the car itself or the manufacturer. So I think a lot of the open topics that still have to be clear off, and to make sure that the car is fully reliable with the traffic condition that we're seeing here. Yeah, because of course in Bangkok you see the motorcycle cut across you all the time. So this happen beyond the normal regulation that we see. Yeah. So anything to add, Peter?
Yeah.
Now coming back, so I was not coming by car, I was coming by scooter, because exactly to this topic, otherwise it would took me 1.5 hours. So yeah, 5G definitely is a key enabler for autonomous driving. As a supplier, we got from the OEMs predictions 2025, 2030, but all moved back. So the main feedback what we've got is you have to have redundant systems. So means you have to have 2 computing units, the cameras, the radars. Everything has to be twice. If one is failing, that the other one takes over immediately. Costs, even in a couple of years, when you think it's getting much cheaper, it's still around $10,000 more, which makes a lot of sense for taxis and for commercial vehicles, but who from the personal side is willing to spend so much money? That's the question, beside all the legal aspects. So it will come for sure first in taxis, fleet, trucks, and then later on as well in vehicles, but a little bit slower than we, at least from our side, have predicted.
Yeah, I think we all expected flying cars by now, or at least our grandparents did. I was looking at a tweet from Elon Musk where he claimed that it would be essential that autonomous vehicles could operate without being connected. It would be the way for it to be done. And it kind of makes, I guess it makes sense. If you go under a bridge or you have some kind of outage, you can't be relying on a central sort of brain to tell your car to stop. Are you guys producing things that will allow more of like mesh networks, ad hoc, like cars communicating directly to each other? Is that how do you see us getting around those kind of problems? Because we're seeing energy crises in Europe. Like, we can't always count that there's going to be some infrastructure that's working.
I think you will see, next to connectivity to the normal 5G, you will have connectivity to different vehicles and to infrastructure like traffic lights or certain buildings, so that you get more information, not only via the 5G networks, that you get as well more connections about your surroundings. Plus, in addition, you will have long-range radar, short-range radar, cameras, all kind of let's say systems which makes it as safe as possible. So that's what we see currently.
Yeah, I agree with Kun Peter, because basically when we talk about the V2X or vehicle to everything, right? So the large amount of data is floating around. It's just a matter of connecting to the traffic light, knowing in advance, when you turn yellow, red, and if there are any accident, any ambulances behind you. These are the data that I think 5G would help a lot in reacting, and of course to informing the drivers what to do, in those situations. And I think basically, when looking at the evolution of the vehicle in the last many years, we have seen so many changes. Yeah. So from back then, in the past, when we just have the active cruise control, and now you are able to take your hand off the steering wheel, for the moment at least, and in the near future, of course, you can basically read the book when you are in the vehicle. So these are coming, to a reality, much, I would say, on the steadily speed that we would expect to see in Thailand is part of the development anyway. Yeah.
Perhaps one thing to add when you said we got some more electronics, and this is exactly because why we are inside this chip crisis now, when you have to wait now for your vehicle for a long time. When you compare 2017 and now, it's 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we had around 90 million produced vehicles worldwide. Last year it was 75, 77. This year is the same amount. Even we produce now much less cars than 5 years ago. The amount of chips inside the vehicles have doubled. So this is, and this is accelerating. So it's really becoming clear that all vehicles which are getting now on the street, there's a lot of electronics inside.
And it's one of the big problems our world's facing right now actually is supply of these chips, and it seems like that's one of the reasons I guess some of these timelines are pushed out or hard to promise on. When you said vehicle to everything, like they connect to all devices or everything around, I wonder, how that affects some people that, there are people that don't necessarily embrace and trust technology, right? There was a huge thing when vaccines were coming out that they were 5G chips that we were going to be, mind controlled with, So do you think these vehicles will be able to interface with the chips that we got implanted?
Are you serious? No, I think, of course, when looking at the development of overall technologies, right? Of course, you can't expect that everyone will embrace the same technology at the same time. There will always be people who prefer to drive the manual transmission, versus the automatic, for example. And in the upcountry, of course, the development is not as fast as in Bangkok, right? So I think the overall development that we are seeing, you can see the mixture of certain features in the vehicle that you can use it when you want to take your hand off the steering wheel. And of course, there are the features that you have to basically grab your steering wheel all the times. So these are still the choices in the interim period that people can choose what they like to work with. But in the future, when you really have to make sure, because we understand that the human error would happen, much on a much larger scale than the electronic will calculate
for sure.
the data, right? So basically, the safer it is, is that everyone on the road would have the same system, and that's in the perfect scenario, which is not going to happen in the next few years. It would take some time, of course. Yeah.
Right. And then there's, I don't know how well published it was, but there was like an MIT study that came out maybe, it was like 10 years ago at least, where you would have the option to choose, if you were an autonomous car and you were in this lane, does it protect the driver? Does it protect the pedestrian? Or if there's this lane, there's one person, and 2 lanes, do you hit one person or do you hit 2? And like there's all these moral issues, and I mean, sure, beyond that, there's numerous moral issues that open up, and when there's an accident and there's a face to it, it's easy, like, oh, is that person, or you blame them. But when it's a company, I remember there was one of the, like, every accident that a Tesla had became a huge news story, and no one's talking about the millions of other ones that were happening.
Right. Yeah, and I think you're right in saying that, because basically in the environment of the LiDAR sensor, it detects the object and the animals or human, or on the shape and the temperature and so on. So basically, the judgment has to rely on the programming that we do, rely on the vehicles. It's still very hard to say which one should be responsible for which, right? But what I'm thinking is that this is the time when we see a lot of the car manufacturer doing a lot of testing in the field. They have to collect all this data, on the abnormality on the road, whether there will be the pedestrian cutting across, whether there will be different object falling off in front of them 100 meters away. There are thousands and millions of scenarios that they have to assess, And I think 5G is coming into this role of having the ability to help the scientists and the researcher to derive the solution for the future of the vehicle much faster.
Mm. And do you think with a, if everything's running the same system, then you can ensure equality. But I can imagine there's maybe some phase here where there's going to be some, I don't know, maybe say a Bentley autonomous feature protects its own passenger more than another one. Maybe it has a better algorithm for how it works. And how does what do you foresee?
So I think in general, the time in between where you have autonomous vehicle and vehicles driven by human beings is the most dangerous one. As soon you have a city area where all the vehicles are not autonomous, it's much more safe. I think the human is here the unknown here. The other topic is, I think on the legislations, there will be clear guidelines, must be, otherwise every OEM cannot do what he wants. And this is where without the proper, let's say, environment, have the laws in place in the countries, it will be not easy to handle.
Right. But every country may have a different law, right? You go on a travel between countries, travel between continents. Yeah, trying to get the world to align on something.
Correct. But on the other side, as you said before, you have this one or two, you have a very few issues with Tesla, and in compare to other accidents, the numbers of accidents will go down dramatically. So
For sure.
That's, I think, statistically proven that will happen. Now the question is how to handle the few cases when something has happened. And this is then for me more case by case.
Now, when we talk about the humans, right, that are driving these cars and causing most of the accidents, for a big part of the population, this is their work, this is their livelihood. Now, is there a responsibility in the people that are pushing these agendas forward to make sure that these people don't get left behind?
Again, please, on which topic do you on?
Yeah, on the people that drive for a living. Like, who's responsible? Do they get phased out of the economy, or can we create programs to, I don't know, to have them working on these vehicles, or?
Well, I think there's no clear answer to this one, right? It's very much unclear what's going to happen overall. But what I'm seeing is that we are looking at the entirely different atmosphere of the automotive industry in the coming years, and that is not only from the manufacturing process, but up until the dealership processes as well. Because basically, in the past, you probably see a big dealership, lots of investment, a lot of cars in showroom, and pretty soon in the future, you probably see a much smaller scale of the investment. The vehicle in the showroom don't have to, they don't have to carry much stock, and everything can be done online, digitally. So these are the model that we will be changing, and of course, electric vehicle will, of course, with much less maintenance. You probably need to go back to the service center less often than before. And actually, I'm driving the iX3 to the park this evening, and the next service interval telling me that in July 2024, so not next year, in about nearly 2 years, will be my first time to visit my dealership. So it will be that long. So I think it kind of disrupt the whole business of the past. And we're looking into so many new opportunities that will come, and a lot of application, just like the mobile phone that you have on your Apple or iPhone, it would be happens in the vehicle as well, I believe. So that would be a lot of room opportunities for developers to do something new with the vehicle, just like a smart mobile that you put on view. Yeah, that's my point.
To your question, I think this is exactly the point where at the moment the first level 5 cars get developed for taxis, for trucks, for fleets, to save costs and to be more safe. So these are the two areas, and yes, there will be also a shift of job profiles.
For sure, for sure. Let's see, where are we at in time? Did we have some? Did we want to take questions from the audience? Is that? Do we want to do that? We had a Q&A session scheduled. Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
Need to ask about the. I'm from the Thailand, and I want to ask about the business of EV in the field in Thailand. Like, what do you think about the investor or the success, maybe in the next 10 years or 15 years? What do you think about it?
Okay. As we seeing the national target, right, we just talked about, so basically looking into 2030, the government would like to see the overall electric vehicle registration up to about 50% of the entire registration. And for the production, they would like to see about 30% of the electric vehicle production here in Thailand. The rest will still be ICE. So that's basically the target that we are looking at, and which interpret into the absolute number of about, if in terms of the registration, would be about 750 something cars per year for a passenger car alone, right? And then of course they have target for motorcycle, trucks, train, ship, even rail system to be electric. So in my viewpoint, the government is working very hard to basically attract new investor to Thailand, and therefore we will probably see a much wider coverage of the subsidy that would be not only for the vehicle, but probably for the charging provider as well. And what we are trying to propose is that for electric car owners, we should have the subsidy for the charging installation at home. So basically, could be something that we can make a tax deductible of our income tax, for example. So this is what EVAT is proposing. So down the road, in the next 10 years, I would see that there will be quite a number of the new brand that we are seeing here. There will be quite a lot of changes to the part supplier, because they have to move away from the ICE part component production and to supply to the electric vehicle manufacturer within this period. So those who can transform the business, would be able to sustain the business, but those who cannot would probably lose out on that. That's one part. Another part that I think which is still a problem to Thailand is the human resources development. We are still pretty much lag behind in terms of the technology and the know-how transfer to the students, like vocational students, for example. So this is still the area that I would see much room for improvement here in Thailand. Yeah.
So for me, the targets, as you said, are super ambitious. And not that it's not possible to produce the vehicles and that you sell it at the end where you want to charge them. When I look now to these condominiums which are today, you don't have this single households or very far out perhaps. And even then, the infrastructure, what you need, if only 50% of all cars would plug in their car in the evening, the lights will go down. So it's a huge infrastructure topic which it takes at least, when you read in Germany, 2 decades. So with this, there will be a lot of new cars, yes, but where is the limit? That's the question. And I think for me personal, my personal opinion is it will be more, the limit will be more related to the infrastructure, because cars get cheaper, more affordable, petrol stays high. So at the end it will be cheaper to have an electric car, but you have to charge it. That's the topic.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a lot that we can learn from other countries that are trying to push these agendas? I imagine you have to, it's nice not to have to be the trailblazer here to make the first mistakes.
Right. I think if you look around the global map, and you see that in the Scandinavia, like in Norway, would be the first country to go all electric within 2025, right? So if I'm not mistaken, they would go all electric for the passenger car, and then on the next phase, it will be the commercial vehicle on the second stage. But Norway will be the first country, with that ICE ban, so-called. And then so many countries in Europe, due to the CO2 regulations, they have to keep reducing the level of the CO2 of the vehicle that they produce. And the only way to reduce the level of CO2 in the entire portfolio is to introduce the electric vehicle to the market. And therefore, you see that a lot of the technologies coming from European countries, European car OEMs, and that would drive the overall, let's say, usage of the EV in the world. And of course, it will come to Thailand as well. What I would like to say is that we have our commitment in the COP26 to reduce the greenhouse gas, of course, and this is one of the things that I believe would push everyone to move into the carbon-free environment of the production, because it would be one of the trade barrier in the future. If you don't really reduce your level of the CO2, it would be very hard for you to export stuff overseas, because it will get tracked with the number of the CO2 that you produce. So it has to be in a way that you have to look for the solution, green, biocircular, green economies to bring into your operation. Otherwise, your business would be very hard to survive in the next future.
Are you guys developing technologies that can retrofit existing cars instead of, we have millions of cars on the road, vehicles on the road. I imagine there must be, maybe it's a faster way than selling everyone a new car if we can do something to the existing ones?
No.
No.
No, perhaps coming back for me to add a little bit, electric cars, great, but only great if the electricity is out of green. If I burn gas or coal with all the losses in the grid and then I drive electric vehicle, makes no sense. So means it has to go hand in hand as well here in Thailand. It makes no sense to try to have all electric vehicles if I don't get the electricity from a green.
You're putting the cart before the horse.
Yes, correct. And yeah, I would say that's for me another main topic where we have to look into it. With, I think retrofits, there is always, you can retrofit your car to gas usage. Now gas is even more expensive than oil. But in general, a battery vehicle is a complete different setup than a combustion engine vehicle. And this is, I cannot see how you want to retrofit this.
Well, I guess maybe if we're not specifically discussing autonomy, but at least the connectivity, there must be some ways to retrofit to at least start to make them a little bit safer so they can interact with these new wave of autonomous connected vehicles that can maybe help us get there a little bit quicker and kind of ease people into the, into the ecosystem.
Interesting because what we will see in the future is that when you buy the vehicle in the past, right, you would choose the option profile of the vehicle. It comes with the head-up display, the comfort access, and so on. And then you pay for what you get as a hardware. But in the future, you get everything in the car as a hardware. But you subscribe to make it work for you or not. So basically, you have the camera, you have the head-up display, but if you decide not to use it, you don't have to tick it off when you buy the vehicle. But if you like to use it, you just tick it off, and then of course this feature would work for you. So this is the way of the vehicle in the future, that it comes automatically with the hardware. And I believe all the safety feature would probably not be so much of the options, but it would be the prerequisite that the vehicle should have, because it's basically save life. So in my viewpoint, it should be readily available, and of course, people should be able to access it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think safety is, it shouldn't be a pay to access thing. Like, I think if we're trying to centralize this push and make it for everyone, and it really has to be for everyone. Any other questions?
We are much focusing on using car, an autonomous car. I mean, I suppose that there should be other areas where 5G can contribute to future mobilities. So we are now only talking about car EV car, autonomous car driving in the city. But I mean, is there any area you see as potential maybe for the near future? Because given the condition that we all discuss in these hours, I think it's very challenging conditions, and I don't see in very close future it needs a lot of government support and schemes and infrastructure changing. And so I just want to ask, is there any potential for 5G to support mobility in Thailand in the near future other than this area?
No, I think as we said before, 5G will be essential as well for the connectivity to everything. So to infrastructure, vehicle to vehicle, and also two-wheelers. So for me, it's essential that, let's say, it's not only the car itself, that as well you have connectivity possibility in the, let's say, city itself. So means that at the end, it's part of a smart city concept. So how you get people from A to B in the most effective way. And here for sure 5G will, at the end you will have an option. Do I use the BTS today? Do I use a taxi? Do I whatever? So it's about transportation, smart city, smart mobility. And for sure this is, and for me, the overall scheme where 5G will be very helpful.
Yeah, I think apart from that, of course, if you're not talking about the mobility, you can think about logistics, for example. And we also have a plant in China, and they installed the overall wireless in the plant BBA, this brilliant automotive, which is the joint venture plant in China. And this is the first plant for us to enable the 5G connectivity within the plant. So basically, a large amount of data in the logistic area can be transferred to the assembly line. They can assess, how much part they need to order or pre-order beforehand. So this is, working very well with the logistic as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I think I saw.
Thank you. I had a question for Kun Krisada. So you talked about the government's target for EV registration over the next 5-10 years or so, and I was curious on the charging station side, right? Aside from the subsidies in people's homes, is the government or maybe EVAT working on something for charging stations if you want to drive outside of the city, right? So if you live in the city, you can charge at night just like you charge your phone. But I've rented an EV before, and when you take a long trip, you have to really plan it. You have to download 4 or 5 apps from the different providers. It's not user friendly right now, and it's kind of difficult. So just wondering how you see the market developing in that area.
Okay. Right. Well, thank you for this question. I know it's really painful for EV owners, to download so many applications, because basically if you drive EV car, you know yourself. If you want to use the MEA, you have to use one app, EGAT another app, EA another app, PDT and then another apps. So we know this is, a pain point for EV user, and that's the reason why EVAT set up what we call the charging consortium. So basically, we have overall about 12 providers within the consortium, and we meet regularly. The aim of the consortium is basically to create the what we call the EV roaming. So basically, it should work in the same way that you use the ATM machine. So it doesn't matter, which bank you use the same card to access the machine, and you can draw the money. So the charging consortium objective is the same. We would like to basically try to get all the machines to work with one another via the OCPP, so it can communicate. And if it knows whether you have the money in the banks or if you want to use your credit card, and then it can basically bill to you the direct or the correct address. So this is the ambitious that we are working on at the moment. But what I can tell you is that we would have the first starter. So the 3 electric generating authorities. So we have MEA, PEA, and EGAT. These are the 3 entities that will combine the network in the first phase, and then it will be expanded to other providers as well. So I believe the pain point that we are seeing today should be much easier in the coming months or years. Yeah.
I mean, like no proprietary connections, like iPhone and Android, right? We're talking all vehicles trying to use the same kind of plug, right?
That's another thing with the charging sockets. We have the different standards, right? From the Japanese one to the Chinese one to the European one. But looking into the overall charging standard we are seeing here in Thailand, we are more going to the European standard, which is the CCS2. So this is probably the future that we see more common here in Thailand.
Okay. Okay.
I have a thinking, maybe in the future, the 5G can do look like the sci-fi movie. We have the tracking and put the 5G in the every car and in the traffic like the motorway. And if in the car drive over the limit, and you don't need the police, the 5G can detect. And you go to the cross the lane, and you are go cross the lane, it's illegal and do nothing. And maybe in the future, it go up to the next step about the, how say, autopilot. And you have a motorway control, you have not more bicycle. And autopilot can do, you have a e-car and company car can put some radar and something is analytic, it's a camera, radar, something, and you can protection and the 5G control. As it be to be the worldwide together in the motorway, in the traffic way, on the something highway, no normal bicycle. Everyone should be the riding in the polarity riding, in the regularly riding. And if possible in the future, we don't need the maybe hybrid and half dry and half pilot. If possible, in the future, in the worldwide, and it's a trend in my dream.
Good dream. And then you can even automatically deduct the money from the person's account when they speed too.
I think there will be still some, let's say, data protection laws here. But yeah, in principle, a lot of things are possible. For example, there are certain studies in Germany which say if you want to go from A to B, you have to say this in advance. For example, you can only go in a city if you have a booked car park, because otherwise you have to go around for half an hour looking for a car park, which is CO2-wise not the right thing to do. So it means you have to, there's different scenarios, and with this also you are controlling the traffic. If you don't book yourself on this evening you want to go inside, and again, personal opinion, it will get more expensive. Who pays more is allowed to get in. Otherwise, let's say you do not find the car park and you will have more public transport, which on the other side I think is also a good thing to do.
Yeah, I like your idea actually. Going on the motorway and not seeing the police would be great. But of course you see a lot more camera, and of course it would be much faster that the camera would send a ticket to you, to your address via mobile phone or something. But of course I think it would reduce a lot of the obstacles, and of course it reduce a lot of the manpower that would be needed around the environment with the autonomous vehicle and so on. So I think the future is really bring a lot of opportunities, and I think we should try to stay tuned and see what's going to happen next. Yeah.
It's going to be exciting future ahead. Should free up a lot of manpower to fix more important other things. Yeah. Any more questions? Oh, we got two. One, two.
Thank you. Hi. Good evening. Then I'm from. This is Will from Mark Lines. Then, when we talk about decarbonization, I really hope we reach the target in Thailand in the future, of course. But we understand like 50% of sales volume in 2030 and 30% of production volume in 2030. But we also know like EV, we always talk about EV, but actually there are so many kinds like electric vehicle and hybrid vehicle, plug-in hybrid vehicle. So question number one, please let me be clear. When you talk about EV, like 50%, 30%, this is only battery electric vehicle or electrified vehicle? This is question number one, sorry.
Okay.
And then this is second, question number two. Then actually, in Thailand, we have 1 year annual sales volume around 800,000 unit or sometimes 900,000 unit. But when we just look into only battery electric vehicle, it's only 100 or 200 or sometimes 300 per month. So electrified market share is around 10% now in Thailand entirely. But electrified battery electric vehicle is only less than 1%. but you have a plan. Of course, I trust your plan. I believe I want to support your plan. But how do you make it? How can you make it? Are you just waiting for investors' investment, or you are doing actually something for making that investment? This is question number 2. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, I'm impressed. You have a really strong automotive background. You know all the figures. All right, to the first questions concerning the government target. When they talk about this 50% of the usage target, they talk about ZEV, which is the zero emission vehicle. So only 2 types of the vehicle would be counted. First is the battery electric vehicle. Second one is a fuel cell. So these are the only 2. They don't count any plug-in hybrid. They don't count any mild hybrid at all. So only ZEV. So this is the number that they have put into the target. And to your second question regarding the overall registration, that we're seeing quite a small number of the electric vehicle in Thailand. Actually, if we look across the drivetrains, from the van and trucks, passenger vehicle, bus, and motorcycle, you see a different percentage of each category. The most and the probably the most popular electric vehicle that we're seeing now today, it would be the around, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 44% of the motorcycle electric worldwide. So which is more than 260 million, and mostly in China. The next one, the bus, electric bus is about 39% according to Bloomberg, and this I believe the fleet size is something like 100,000 around the world, because the bus is fixed route, so you can calculate and use the electric efficiently with the bus. Now coming to the passenger vehicle worldwide, it is about 4% of the passenger vehicle as electric. So this is not a surprise to Thailand, because we have less than 1% at the moment, but worldwide is about 4%. But the prediction is that Bloomberg was saying that after 2030, we should see about up to 30-something% for the electric passenger vehicle, and more than 50% for the bus and motorcycle. So this would be the different drivetrain of the electric vehicle that we will start to see, and I believe that Thailand would gradually getting into that percentage pretty soon. Yep. Thank you.
Sounds like you have to set ambitious goals for ambitious results. If we shoot for you shoot for the stars and you hope you hit the moon, right? So.
So yeah, hopefully that we landed there.
Yeah. I think we have time for just one more question. Anyone? No? Yeah.
Hi, from Roda Trust Thailand. This for Kun Peter. Just wondering whether you have a plan to manufacture something else other than tires in Rayong in the future.
So currently, let's say we spin off the Vitesco, our former powertrain business. They are producing in, let's say, Rayong as well. And they are converting from diesel towards electrification products. Continental itself, we have different production locations in ASEAN, for ASEAN, which is currently Malaysia and Philippines. But for sure, we are studying and opening, let's say, see what other opportunities comes up in the future. Currently, we still, let's say, producing less vehicles than a couple of years before. But yeah, for me, Thailand is a place to be for automotive production. That's, I think, the most competitive location. I think what will be interesting as well, Indonesia is also attracting at the moment a lot of investments, what we see. So yeah, for sure, going forward, Thailand is one of the locations where we have a close eye. But first of all, we will grow our facility for the tires. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the audience questions, and thank you both very, very much for your time and insight. And I really enjoyed these conversations. I laughed a little bit and tried to ask some hard questions, so it's good. Looks like we have a QR code up here. I don't know what let's see, registration. Yeah, it's probably if you want to scan that, just let us know that you came here. Get some information about you. We can send you invites to the next events, and thank you all for coming. And Isabel, you have any not last words, but closing thoughts?
Clothing thoughts are actually presents for you guys. So yeah, thank you very much for your time today. I think it was a very lively discussion. So also thank you to the audience with all the questions. Yeah, as discussed, we're at the beginning of the 5G era and the green smart transport. So exciting times, but still also maybe a little way to help you protect yourself against not so clean air. So a little present from VNU and Seven Peaks side for your car or office or whatever. It's a portable air purifier, so to lift the secret. So yeah, thank you very much for your time and enjoy. Yeah, one is for you. One is for you. Wait. One is for you. A big box.